everyone, and welcome back to our video series that we've been doing with professionals. Today, I am pleased to welcome Johanna Krebs with us, and she will kind of go into some more detail regarding victim services and what it is like in the criminal justice system. So Johanna, if you would.
Hi, so I'm Johanna Krebs. I am the Victim Service Specialist for the New London Geographical Area 10 Court. I work for the Office of Victim Services, which is under the judicial branch for the state of Connecticut.
And how long have you been at that court or in the court system?
Right, so I've only been with OVS for just over 2 years now, but my history actually comes from that. I spent 13 years learning the criminal justice process and providing services to victims in all sorts of capacities while over my 13 years with Mothers Against Drunk Driving in Connecticut.
Which is great because you have definitely also helped us advocates in the court system, and you have the knowledge background of impaired driving crashes.
Yeah.
To be able to apply them to cases that you see every day. So we are certainly grateful for all of your help with cases that myself and the other two advocates here in the office have worked on.
Absolutely.
Are there any specific requirements or qualifications needed to work in the field of victim services for the state of Connecticut?
So the state of Connecticut definitely has some different criteria that need to be met versus within the private industry or nonprofits. They need, a certain number of years of direct services with victims, and then equivalent or combination of education. So master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, minimum of about 6 years or so of direct services to victims.
And I know sometimes it can be hard to get working into the state versus the private sector, like us here at MAD. Obviously, we are nonprofit, so things are a little bit different. Certainly experience is required, but not necessarily. I know when I started MAD, I only had the schooling background, and then certainly learned a lot from everyone here, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, and it does. I think, and I think that kind of comes across the board when it comes to victim services. The education is really, really great to have, but nothing really beats that experience level and working within the system and working direct with victims, because you just learn so much more from all of that experience.
Sure, definitely. Now, next question I have for you is regarding the court criminal justice process. It's certainly a whole new ball game, especially if you've never been involved in anything that would require you to go to court. So in your court, how does really the process work? How do you work with all the different entities of the court, like the prosecutors and the judges? There's probation, bail commissioners. What's kind of your role and function in the whole
process of it all? Sure. So though I work for the judicial branch and we are not tied to the state's attorney's office. However, my primary role is that liaison from the state's attorney's office in the court to the victim and vice versa. We work on behalf of the victim. Our primary role is to advocate and ensure that victim rights, their constitutional rights, are upheld within the entire process. So from the time that the crime happens to post-conviction and all the way through. We have different advocates on every different level to be able to service those needs, whether it's from our helpline to an in-court advocate to a post-conviction through the Department of Corrections and then pardon and parole. So we have services that hit across the gamut. I work the most closely with our state's attorney's office, as they're the ones that are in control of the criminal prosecution of a case. And they really do value the input and the extent to which the crime has affected those that have been impacted. So the victims and survivors, so family members or those who've been injured through a crime, they really do take in a high level count of what their input is and their needs are through the process. So that's my role, is to ensure that communication direct to the victim and then back to the state's attorney and then to the court ultimately.
Great. And kind of, I guess, rolling off of that, what specific services are you able to provide to the families, whether in court or even after they leave you and go on through the rest of the process, what are kind of the different services that are available?
Sure. So a little bit different of working for the state as a court advocate versus a nonprofit. We really don't have a lot of impact or a lot of ability to do services until we actually have a criminal case within the system. We do work with victims that we know and anticipate something may be coming. We provide them with their constitutional rights and ensure that they have the knowledge and the ability to participate to whichever level they want to. They're also aware of compensation. So victim compensation, there are those funds available to help offset some of those financial losses that they may have accrued throughout this crime. We provide them with a court accompaniment. We provide them with the information of what's going on with the case and the ability to speak directly with the state's attorney or through in development of their victim impact statement. And victim impact statements can be developed from the moment that the crime happened to all the way through post-conviction. Our advocates that work within pardon and parole really do assist those victims in the after. So once the case has been sentenced and the defendant is incarcerated, we have advocates to help notify and do all of the same court accompaniment and victim impact statements when it comes to any of the future developments that happen. We also provide assistance with when a case may come in for a violation of any probation orders on the original matter. The victims had original input at the beginning, and we want to ensure that those continue on, especially if those violations may impact them continuously, whether it be through restitution or any violations that may have occurred with contact or additional crimes that may have been committed.
Sure. So certainly, I mean, a variety of services are available.
Yes.
And, we'll kind of go into the next question is kind of both of our roles. So obviously I'm a victim advocate here at MAD still. So I guess the relationship between us, because obviously there's things that we cannot provide that you can, and vice versa, that you cannot provide, but we can. So how, I guess through the years, through the different courthouses, how has your take on how the relationship has been between MAD, obviously having a specific crime set, and then, the court advocates and the court system?
Absolutely. So I've always approached it, and I continue to approach it as a team advocacy for a victim. We all have our specialties that we can offer in the services of a victim. And that way, then based on all of the accumulation of the specialties, whether it be a specific nonprofit of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, a court advocate, which is a direct liaison to the state's attorney and to the judge, a civil attorney to help ensure that their civil rights are upheld as well. A team approach advocacy assures that we can service the entire victim. Having a community advocate, I've always found being the community advocate and now being on the state side, it helps because there's a lot of barriers that a state employee can't always necessarily do and provide, and the level of investigation on specificness. And then the community advocate helps with that. What I always found to be the best and the greatest is being a court advocate. I could have 10, 15 different cases on the docket for the day with 10, 15 different varieties of victims and their victimization. But having a community advocate, having a MAD advocate be able to sit next to a family member and kind of walk through the details of what to expect, and then being able to tag team of the follow-up and ensure that all questions and concerns are answered from various perspectives has been super helpful. I know from both perspectives, from the nonprofit and from the state side. And I think that victims appreciate it because, as you said, unless they've been involved in the criminal justice process before, it is such a foreign world. There's so many terms that are just no one would really understand unless you're familiar with the terms or what to expect next or understanding what they can and cannot do. So it does, that team approach to service the entire victim is just so incredible.
Certainly, and I know as you said, the victims certainly do appreciate it, because you're dealing with many other crimes, not just drunk driving or drug driving,
Right.
all the gamuts of the crime. So, we're there kind of there to be able to another emotional support system for
Correct.
them, to be able to sit with them, and answer their questions. Or, there's a lot of sometimes waiting, maybe not so much now, but there was always a lot of waiting in the
Waiting.
courthouses. So, and you grow close, I know our relationships here with families are, certainly they get close and you get to know them and know their family, and you
Absolutely. And
great.
with the nonprofits too, and I support it as well, is that you offer different avenues to continue to support a victim as they go through their process, because it's an entire life process since the crime happened, forever. And once a court case ends, that doesn't mean that their victimization ends. And so that is something that the state wouldn't necessarily be able to do as an ongoing advocate, but that advocate can do that.
Certainly. We do different fundraising events and
Mhm.
walks, and with our court mandated programs like the Victim Impact Panel, a speaking opportunity for them to be able to go and share their story afterwards. And, certainly many families have been with us 10, 15, 20
Right.
plus years, that we are able to be just there for them. They'll call around the holidays, they'll call on anniversaries, um, whatever we can do to help them out. I thank you so much for joining me today and answering some of the questions.
Absolutely.
And we will hopefully anyone watching, especially we have a lot of interns this semester, and they're
Mm,
always curious about kind of what goes on and what the difference is between us in the nonprofit field and being a state employee. So we certainly appreciate your help
absolutely.
with this endeavor that we've embarked on. Um,
Absolutely. And and the state we offer internships as well. We offer different opportunities for that level of engagement as well. And I think it's just so important for anybody interested in or has been impacted through a crime to learn and to gain as much as possible. And so whether that's a specific nonprofit that deals specific with different crimes or on a general basis, because they're out there and we're always willing to help and educate. So when unfortunately, future victims come along, we have more people to support them as through their process.
Great. Thank you so much, Johanna,
Thank you. I
for
appreciate it.
joining me today. And I thank you guys for watching. We hope you have a great week, and we look forward to bringing you our next interview soon. Take care.
Bye.